And hello again, everybody. Welcome to Warriors Walk-Off here on HBC TV 25. I'm Justin Barrientos. Thanks for joining us. We'll start out by talking baseball today with head coach Kyle Polk. And I know we'll get into weather and everything that's been going on with the weather, but let's talk baseball first before we get into the weather.
Right.
And you did get 2 games in last week. Talk about kind of overall your thoughts on the games against Wayne State.
Well, you're going to get this second hand because I didn't go on a trip.
Okay.
I got sick last week, and it's the first time I've missed games, and I tried to figure out. It's been over 1,200 games since I missed one.
Wow.
With that between coaching and being the head coach and assistant coach, but my assistants are very good, so I had no problem letting them go. But I had a very good game pitched by Aaron Mutter the first game. We got behind, but we were able to fight back and get the 5-4 win, and did some things really well in that game. Had some good at-bats, put some good at-bats together and whatever. And then Aaron Mutter probably didn't have his best stuff, but had good enough stuff that kept us in the game. The second game, Caleb Shainholtz pitched a great game for us again for 8 innings, and we had the chance to win that, and things happen sometimes. It just didn't work out. We got beaten 10 innings, but if we make 2 plays on 2 ground balls, we probably win that game. But again, you got to make the plays.
All right.
So.
Well, it might be difficult to answer some of these questions then, but we'll do our best here. Now, I know that you've talked about the fact that pitching kind of gets to be a problem towards this end of the year because you want to rest guys, you want to make sure. Mutter now has pitched 2 consecutive complete games. Is that maybe because you know the schedule is so odd and you might not play, so he's able to get that rest?
Yeah, and he's pitching. His pitch counts have been good. You know, he's been not more than 100 pitches. You know, we talk about using that 100 pitch level as something to really start looking at. You start looking at guys about 80, see where they're at. But he's been able to get by on low pitch counts as well. So, but yeah, we're trying to piecemeal together things now because our schedule, it's changing every day. So we're still trying to piecemeal things together. We know who our 4 guys are that we can run out there on the weekend, and then trying to figure out what we're going to do midweek and stuff, depending on how many guys are used out of the bullpen, how many innings they've put in, or how many pitches they've thrown. I got a couple other guys that potentially can step up and start too, depending if we use them or not. So yeah, so it kind of becomes like a puzzle trying to put it together now for the rest of the way out.
All right, let's go back a little bit to the games against Wayne State. The first game, your guys had to come back a little bit. They went down, I think, 4-0, and then ended up coming back all the way 5-4, including starting a rally with a bunt single. That's got to make you smile.
We've been doing a little bit more of that. Andrew Pleiner's been doing that quite a bit for us, getting some rallies started with that too. So it's just something we tell our guys, take a look. If the defense is playing back and stuff, you can lay one down, put it down, and see what happens, because sometimes that's just the igniter. Like old Paul Mahler, Twins coach, is called the igniter, and he used to do that all the time.
Then game 2, maybe a little frustrating. You start out, you get the first runs of the game, and then it goes into extra innings, and Wayne State comes away with the win.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate that we were the home team, so the top of the 9th, actually Jacob Watzka, who's been pitching great for us, did great. He struck out the first guy, got the next guy out, and then he just kind of lost the strike zone and walked a couple guys in a row and stuff, and then we make the pitching change. Nick Harrell, who's a ground ball guy, and he comes in and gets 2 ground balls, and we don't make the plays. And it just happens. You make the plays, we win the game. If you don't, you got to scramble then.
All right. Now, we brought up health with you not being able to be at a couple of games. Overall, the team, how are they doing with this kind of weird change in weather?
Yeah, we had a few of our guys are banged up, so some of these breaks that we didn't get to play this weekend because of weather, and basically the whole conference didn't play. So that was the same. So I give them guys a couple of days to heal up and whatever. Our pitchers, pretty much arms are all been pretty healthy, so we're okay with that. But just some of our position guys, because we've been moving games in this, playing 6 games in 4 days or whatever, that they get banged up a little bit. So that break, missing those games this weekend would probably help out. So right now, hopefully going into this next stretch, we should be pretty healthy.
All right. From kind of a strategic standpoint, the games this weekend were canceled, and so they're not going to be made up. How does that kind of affect you, losing those 4 games? They're off the schedule. Does that make any difference to you?
Well, no, not really, because what our conference says, we go by winning percentage. So again, and the best thing about it is we weren't the only ones that were canceled. Basically, the whole conference got canceled. I think Duluth and Mankato played 2 games, and a couple other teams played 2 games on the front end of the weekend. But I know there was like 3 or 4 series that all 4 games were canceled. So we're all in the same boat. So it doesn't really hurt. Now, if we were only one canceled and everybody else was playing, then that's a different story.
Sure. So. All right. So let's talk about this week then. You said that's kind of in flux too. And
yeah.
What happens this week?
Well, right now we're scheduled to play tomorrow. against Upper Iowa. And our field, I think, is going to be ready, but we got to take a look. Do we need the extra day? That last snow, the infield dirt got awful wet and stuff, so we're trying to get that dried out. But we can move to Thursday if possible, which is a possibility. And then the weekend is supposed to be St. Cloud here. And right now, it doesn't look good, but nowhere in Minnesota or our conference, nowhere in the league really has got good weather coming. So we're gonna hold off on that decision as long as we can, because we actually have alumni weekend. And the last I heard, we got between 80 and 100 people have signed up to come back, or were registered to come back, that are alumni and stuff, to be here for the weekend. So if at all possible, we want to be able to try to have something to be home for that. If we have to move, we'll move to play the games, but then they'll have to party or whatever without us. But I'm sure they can handle that. My first thing is I want to play here if possible. So, and we're just going to be monitoring the weather.
All right. Well, let's hear about Alumni Weekend. What are some of the plans that are?
Well, we always have an Alumni Weekend every year, but our alumni office has taken over some of these things, and they're doing a great job with it. And we're going to recognize the 1988 NAIA World Series team that played, and then the 1998 team, which was the first team in our league to make the NCAA playoffs when we made the switch to Division II. So we're going to recognize those guys. We played, actually, I was coaching with that team in '98. We went to the regional down in Warrensburg, Missouri, and we were the first team. We were actually the first team at Winona State to make the NCAA playoffs, and that we were in that large selection at that time. So we're going to recognize those guys, '88, and then any other. We always tell any other alumni, if you show up, come up, make sure you register. We'll recognize you as well in that. But the '88 and the '98 teams are the ones that we're going to try to make just recognize them a little more. So, do
you have any of the alumni come to talk to the team at all, or how does that work?
No, I haven't had that happen yet. You know, so that might be a good idea. Maybe I got to think. I never thought of that. So, well, we got enough of them that come around. They just hang out and whatever, and come get back together. A lot of them are just going to get together because those teams haven't been together for so long. So, and we're probably trying to have a get together downtown. Probably I shouldn't say who, where, or whatever, because unfair advertising, whatever. But we got some things set up for afterwards.
All right, sounds like it'd be a fun weekend, whether there's baseball or not this weekend.
Exactly. Well, it could be. Could be. So.
All right. Well, we're going to take a break here on Warriors Walk Off. We'll get the player perspective when we come back. Taylor Field will join us right after this.
With our partnership with HBC, we were able to now be a smart gigabit community with US Ignite and the National Science Foundation. All their other partners are large metropolitan urban areas, Austin, Texas, San Francisco, Washington, D.C. And because of the broadband connectivity provided by HBC, we are a community lead for this initiative where we're going to be able to bring next-gen technology and stay competitive in the 21st century economy.
Providing opportunities for residential and business customers, HBC is leadership in your community.
And welcome back to Warriors Walk Off here on TV 25, now joined by Taylor Field, senior at Winona State. And I think you've been on this show every season that we've done it, so interesting that you've got that streak going, so thank you for joining us once again.
Thank you for having me.
So as I mentioned, senior season, tell us a little bit, kind of go over your Warrior career. Maybe what are some of the highlights that are sticking out to you as you midway through your senior season?
I guess overall, last 4 years, redshirt my freshman year, just kind of been able to play a lot over my 4 years here, so that's been kind of something I've been very happy about. Being able to stay in the lineup, stay healthy, so that's been something. And then just the guys that have been able to be around, that's been a big highlight of my 5 years here. So great group of guys that I've been around all my time here. So.
All right. Now, one of the things we talked about before is kind of your versatility. Your main position is catcher, but you played some outfield, you played some infield during your time here at Winona State. Tell us a little bit about what that's like. Do you have to kind of switch your frame of mind a little bit if you're going to be behind the plate or if you're playing one of the field positions?
No, not really. I mean, I'm open to playing whatever keeps me in the lineup, so that's always okay with me. But I like it. Keeps things interesting, whether I'm in outfield, catching, or I think I got a couple innings at second base last year. I mean, whatever it may be, kind of keeps things interesting, so that's always nice.
From the standpoint of just being a catcher, though, if you're out in the outfield or the infield, you ever find yourself maybe calling pitches while you're out playing a different position?
I wouldn't say calling pitches, but at times, I wouldn't say bored's the right word, but you don't get quite the same action in right field as you do behind the plate when you're involved in every play. So that took a little getting used to. Started playing a little more outfield, but yeah.
All right. What's it been like to have a player with the versatility of Taylor?
Well, it makes decisions a lot easier. I like to liken him to when I played here too. I was a main thing was a catcher, but I played a lot of outfield and first base too. Okay. So I kind of think Taylor's kind of in the same mindset or mold that I was as a player. So I like that as well as a coach. I know I got, because we want to try to keep the best bats in the lineup. And if they can play more than one position, that makes it a little bit easier. So, but you said, like you said, sometimes you daydream and stuff. I remember back in the days watching airplanes going by, playing in the outfield and missing things. But so you got to worry about that a little bit, because when you're catching, you're on everything. Everything is in front of you and you're running the game. But it makes things a little bit easier, transitions sometimes. If we get injuries or something, we got some versatility. And we're looking, a lot of our guys can play dual positions and stuff like that. So we tried every once in a while in practice, get them some reps in those other positions as well.
All right. Is there anything that you haven't done on the baseball field that you want to? Maybe plant a seed with Coach Polk here?
Here we go.
Well, I mean, Coach Polk knows Coach Johnson told you once or twice. I want to get on the mound once this year.
Okay.
Been pushing that for a while here, so we'll see if that happens. I don't know. But
did you pitch in high school?
a little bit, not very well, but
Yeah, not very well. That's a key word.
So are we thinking that maybe that's not going to happen then?
I don't think it's going to happen, but he'll keep trying.
Okay. So how is your expectation coming into college? Obviously, you talked about before your freshman year, your bullpen catcher, and then have played a lot over the last 4 years. How has the expectation of college baseball met with the reality of what you've seen?
It's lived up to it. I know it's something you can't really brace for is all the travel, especially that conference with the changing schedule, like the weather this year. But I mean, it's lived up to it. Kind of what you expect with the grind with school and baseball. But I mean, it's been worth it up to this point.
All right. Have you been a mentor to some of the younger players? Can you teach them anything about what that grind is like, because you've gone through it now 5 years?
I think the big thing is freshmen just to transition into from fall with practicing into the season with keeping up with schoolwork and everything. I think that was a big thing. That was a learning point for me. So I kind of try and pass it on any way I can.
All right. So how do you keep your focus and your readiness to play when you don't know if it's going to be a practice day, a game day, you're going to be inside, outside?
I mean, I love to play baseball. So I mean, any day we know whether it's inside, outside, practice or a game, it doesn't really matter. We get to play or we get to go outside, we get to play. So I mean, either way, I like playing baseball. So.
All right. Is baseball going to play a part in your future after this year?
Yeah, most likely, whether it be moving on or just playing with friends or playing town ball or something like that. I'd hope so, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us here and over the years in your career at Winona State, and good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you very much.
All right. We're going to take a break here on Warriors Walk-Off. When we come back, we'll talk softball with head coach Greg Jones right after this.
Paying your HBC bill has never been so easy. HBC's new online bill and pay system, SmartHub, allows you to receive electronic bills and make online check or credit card payments with ease. HBC SmartHub can be accessed on the computer or through your mobile devices with the app. Manage your payments, communicate with HBC customer care, and receive messages about your account with a touch of a button. HBC SmartHub. Start today at hbci.com/SmartHub.
And welcome back to Warriors Walk-Off here on TV 25. Time now to talk softball with head coach Greg Jones, and we'll get to weather in just a little while. I know that that's kind of been the running theme over the last couple of weeks on the show here. But let's talk about the games that you did get in last week against Wayne State. Both shutouts, so congratulations on that. I got to say, the write-up was very good because of the opening line of the rep. I don't know if you read it or not.
I didn't.
All right. Jordan Clement tossed her first no-hitter of the season. It's like it's a throwaway. That's kind of incredible.
Yeah, I think that speaks volumes for how impressive she's been early in her career, that it's expected.
Yeah, exactly. She now has 4 no-hitters at Winona State, the third Winona State pitcher to do that, all under your tenure. There were 2 no-hitters that were thrown in Winona State softball history before you became the head coach, and now 22 have been thrown while you're a head coach. That's just amazing. I know you kind of don't like to hear those numbers or don't like to react to those numbers, but it is incredible in your time. 22 no-hitters.
Yeah, I guess I had no idea of that. No-hitters aren't easy.
No.
Even in that game, and that game was very stressful. I was 1-0 for a great part of the game, and I kept thinking we were going to lose the softball game, not even focused on the no-hitter.
Sure.
And it wasn't until the 5th inning Joe had no hit stuff, to be certain, and the whole game from the first pitch, really. But I wasn't even thinking about the no-hitter until all of a sudden the fifth inning I realized that, and I said, oh man, we're going to screw this whole thing up, the no-hitter, the game, whatever. And but we found a way offensively to kind of get off the mat a little bit and score. But no, she threw the ball extremely well, and then going back over the history, I never would have guessed we had 22 of them. That says a lot for obviously the arms we've had in my time here. We've been very fortunate to have that kind of success on the mound. Obviously, we've got a great pitching coach who does a good job with those kids and gets them ready. So that has a lot more to do with those people than it does me.
Well, and it's actually 14 over 3 pitchers because Courtney Strang and Stacy Straczynski have the school record, both throwing 5 no-hitters each, which is just amazing, mind-blowing to me.
Yeah.
Do you think that it's, I mean, with Jordan and with the success that you guys have had this season, is it maybe more impressive because of the weather conditions and because things have been thrown all out of whack this year?
I try very hard not to give our kids excuses, but I think at some point this weather has to factor into what's happening. And you know, for a pitcher like a McKenna, who's a real touch and feel type of pitcher with, you know, making the ball move and spin and things like that, I keep thinking, man, can't wait till she pitches when it's 60 degrees, you know, because it's just got to be hard to get a feel for the ball at times. With Jordan, who's more of a power pitcher, I think power pitching sometimes plays well in cold weather because hitters don't like to hit in cold weather. But the challenge then you run into is being loose and letting those loose muscles fire. What was really impressive about her the other day was literally the first pitch of the game she threw. I turned to Brittany, who's our assistant coach, who helps me chart pitches during the course of the game. I just turned to her and said, wow. I mean, that first pitch she threw just popped, and it just had such a late life. And then she had a great first inning, and I said the same thing, and the inning got over. I was like, wow, I've never seen Jordan throw like this. And she's been very good for us, but that first inning was the most dominant inning I've ever seen her pitch. She came back a little bit to the pack there in the second inning, walked a couple kids, didn't have the same type of pace, and then from the third inning on, it got stronger again. And she was as good in the seventh inning as she probably was in the first inning. And so again, I think the cold weather has factored into some of what we've done. That day was it started out really warm in Wayne during the warm-up, and it got colder as the day went on, but it did not seem to have any effect on what she was trying to do.
So what was it about that game that you were worried that you were going to mess it all up and lose the game?
Well, because I always think that. No, I just, you know, it was one of those things that I thought offensively we needed to do more. You know, that kid had a 6.5 ERA coming in. I mean, so she's giving up 6 earned runs a game. You know, they were giving up that, you know, their pitching staff just didn't have very good numbers, and I thought offensively we would just be more productive than we were. And so the longer you keep a team like that in the game, the more I felt like, and they play in a Cracker Jack box down there, it's 200 all the way around, I really felt like they were a bloop and a blast away from taking the lead, that the longer we kept them in the game, something bad was going to happen. Okay. And I just really kept waiting for our offense to put the game away. Our defense was playing great. Joe was pitching phenomenal. I just didn't want to lose that thing on a fluke. Okay. And it wasn't anything to do with what we were doing. It was more what we weren't doing on offense that was worrying me. And then we put up that 3 spot late. And once it got to 4-0, it wasn't even just us trying to get to 4. I just felt like the way Jordan's pitching, they're not going to get 5. I felt really good at that point.
Okay, and then you did win the first game 8-0, and again, it was McKenna Larson who had another great pitching performance, a 4-hit shutout in that one. Maybe because of that offensive output, you were worried about your offense in the second game?
Yeah, and you know, we, again, early in the first game didn't score the first couple times around, and again, I don't know that I expect us to score 5 runs an inning. It just isn't that. It's just the at-bats we put together, and how do we drive the ball, and what does our offense look like. Second time through the order in that first game, we really came to life and really started to drive the ball and looked really good. And then that was, again, the difference in game 2. As I kept waiting that second and third time through, we just never really put it together till almost the 4th time through the order. But McKenna really threw the ball nicely. I thought that was her best outing in a while. She initiated a lot of soft contact and weak contact where we could just sit back and field ground balls and throw the ball to first base. And she had really good stuff that game as well. And offensively, we were able to support her a little bit better.
All right, now this weekend you were supposed to play 4 games, and those games got canceled, which means that they won't be made up. Correct. So I asked Coach Polk the same question in the earlier segment. Does that matter to you that you've lost 4 games off your schedule now?
It does, because you know we've been very fortunate over the years. to have a lot of success. We don't preach about winning a conference championship because to me I mean, it looks great and it's nice on the banners and all that kind of stuff, but it really doesn't do anything for you. To me, it's all about getting to the postseason. My emphasis is always trying to get into the postseason, and you got to either win the conference tournament or have a great body of work to get into the NCAA tournament, because what we're really playing for is that big trophy at the end. At the same time, we have lost a lot of opportunities to win conference championships because of weather, simply percentage points. And that's what losing those games this weekend, not losing them on the field, but losing them off of our schedule, really hurts the percentage point problem. With 3 different years, we would have been conference champions if we just would have played our full schedule. And that's just kind of sometimes the way it goes, and it's frustrating because they were winnable games, and you take those wins off your schedule. It's amazing how now important every other game becomes win and loss wise, so far as winning a conference championship.
And then you mentioned before we started taping that you're kind of stressed this week because you're supposed to play Minnesota State Mankato on Wednesday, supposed to play St. Cloud on the weekend, and you don't know if those games are going to happen.
Yeah, and now they're playing weatherman. The new forecast calls for snow again over the weekend, which now puts next week into peril, and our next week's midweek games into peril. And we talked to the team about it last night, tried to apologize to them, but to make them understand, I've been doing this for 18 years, which is longer than most of them have been alive. And we have never seen this. I mean, we have never seen anything like this. This is completely new to us. Usually if it snows in April, it's 60 the next day. It melts, you play 2 days later. You have a day of rain, and so you bump things, you put the tarp on, whatever. I mean, this is brand new to everybody. The one advantage that not an advantage, the only good part, silver lining to all of this, is everybody in the league's going through it. It's not an isolated southern Minnesota or northern Minnesota or, South Dakota problem. It is everybody's fighting it. But I really give our kids credit for their patience that they've shown in this, and B, their resilience of overcoming it, because it's really getting hard in the classroom to know when we're going to be gone. Again, we have not played, since we've come back from Florida, we have not played one game according to our schedule. Every single game since Florida has either been moved by location or date or both. And that's really hard because you never would see a basketball team, a volleyball team, a soccer team, or a football team ever have to endure that. So for our kids to have to endure that academically as well as athletically has been a real challenge. So I give them a lot of credit.
All right, we're going to leave it right there for that. We're going to take a break here on Warriors Walk Off, and when we come back, Jamie Schleiss will join us right after this.
NASCAR racing is about a whole lot more than just cars going around a track. It's about people who drive, people who engineer, people who plan, people who know how to put it all together. Meet the people who make the cars go round every week on Raceline. Watch Raceline here every week.
Elevate your HBC TV experience with the latest technology to hit your whole home entertainment system. Record up to 6 programs simultaneously and save up to 350 hours of your favorite shows. Pause a program you're watching in one room and pick right up where you left off in another. Video on demand, wireless set-top boxes and mobile device streaming, apps including Alexa, Netflix, YouTube, and more. Call 888-474-9995 to learn more or visit hbci.com/elevate today.
And welcome back to Warriors Walk Off. Jamie Schleiss, senior for the Warriors softball team, joins us right now. Thank you for being here this week.
Yes, thank you for having me.
So we've heard all the coaches talk about the weather. A player standpoint, how does the weather and all of the schedule changes affect you?
Yeah, for sure. It's a lot to handle, but being a senior, I am fortunate enough to have a light class load, but I know a lot of my teammates don't have as fortunate of a thing. But I think the biggest thing for us right now is just taking it day by day. There's no need to jump ahead and try to fix Mother Nature, which she's proved to us as not something that we can deal with. So yeah, I think just taking it day by day and just hoping that tomorrow's the next day we're able to play.
Now you maybe have a more unique situation because you switched positions this year from third base over to first base. How has all of this flux affected you trying to adapt to a different position?
I would say it's been a little different. I've played the left side my whole life, being a shortstop in high school and then in travel ball being a third baseman, and obviously the last 3 years being a third baseman here. It's been different. I think the biggest thing is my level of aggressiveness. I've had to kind of adapt to being on the left side, and in the third base position you're allowed to move a lot to your left, whereas in first base you have the responsibility of getting back to the base, and that takes away a little bit of my range on the right. So I think the biggest thing has just been adapting to that aggressiveness that I'm allowed to have, but my teammates have done a great job of kind of saying, hey, this is something we've seen that you can work on, and I think them helping me through it has probably been the easiest transition over there.
All right, and Coach, the thinking behind moving her, you won 2 Gold Gloves previously over at third base, and then the move over to first base. So when did you decide to move her over?
Well, we tried really hard not to. We really didn't want to. We had a transfer come in that we really thought was going to anchor that position, and Alexis was coming off of a knee surgery and then got bad news in November that it didn't take and was going to have to redo her knee surgery and be out for another year. We didn't have her for the fall, but we thought she would be good to go by the first practice. That didn't happen. So in November, we met with a couple of kids individually, Jamie is one of them, and said, look, this is now a possibility. We don't want this, we're not going to shoot for this, but we want to be honest with you. We went into practice really trying to keep Jamie at third base because of not only how talented she is there, but just we didn't want to mess with that side of our infield with our pitching. We know our pitching's geared really to be solid to that side of the infield, and McKenna being a left-hander and throwing that drop ball down and in, that curve ball inside, and Jordan throws an inside rise ball. We really wanted to keep that side of the infield as it was. And we knew this is the talent level of Jamie. Well, the longer practice was going, the more we just knew we needed to make the change. And we came back from a practice in early February in the Dome on a Friday night, and it hadn't been going well at first base. And I said, we've got to do it. And on Monday, we pulled the trigger, and we told Jamie she was going to go to first base. And I said, we'll just take a look at it. And we've never taken her off. Because the one thing that it has done is solidified our infield defense, because we never make a mistake at first base now.
So what were your first thoughts then, making the switch to first base?
I mean, initially, we got a text from Lex actually saying that she was going to be foregoing like another surgery. So I think instantly my first thought is, okay, I'm the first baseman. But I had the talk with Coach, and honestly, playing a corner, the corners are a little different just from perspective-wise. But it was never a thought in my mind that, oh, I'm not going to go over to first base if that's where I was needed. So honestly, it's just been adapting to it, and it's going pretty well, so.
Very good. So as we said, this is your senior year. Any thoughts on your career, looking back on your career here at Winona State?
Yeah, it's been quite the ride, a lot of ups and downs, but I mean, just looking back, I feel like just as a person, I've grown so much, whether it be in leadership or communication skills. I think the biggest thing I'm going to take away from it is definitely the skills I've developed into the work world. I hope to work in sports. So hopefully I can take what I've learned into that.
So what is your plan for the future then, working in sports?
Actually, last summer I got the chance to work for a summer collegiate team within Green Bay. So I'm hoping to maybe not stay in the baseball side, but move into the football side of professional sports. So hopefully that works out.
No, very interesting. Well, good luck in that.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for joining us, and good luck the rest of the season.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for joining us here on Warriors Walk Off. We'll see you next time here on TV 25.